The sleek research vessel Celestial Observer hovered at the edge of the solar system, its sensors directed toward the third planet from the Sun. "This cannot be correct," Captain Trell muttered, tapping the holographic display with a slender six-fingered hand. "Run the scan again." The ship's computer chimed softly. "Scan complete. Results unchanged." The bridge fell silent as the crew stared at the readings. The blue-green world before them registered as a Class 13 environment, the most extreme classification in the galactic standard. Only 5 such planets had been discovered in recorded history, and none had produced intelligent life. "Impossible," said Science Officer Locks, her translucent skin paling in disbelief. No evolved species could survive those conditions. The data scrolled across their screens. Extreme temperature variations, -60 degrees Celsius to +50 degrees Celsius. Oxygen levels toxic to most galactic species. Lethal radiation from nearby star. Active tectonic activity. Violent weather patterns. Abundance of predatory species. Microorganisms everywhere. Captain Trell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among her species. "And yet," she said, pointing to another screen, "we are detecting artificial satellites, electromagnetic communications, and significant energy outputs." "There must be a shielded colony of visitors," suggested Navigation Officer Pell. "Perhaps some Class 8 or 9 species built habitats there." "Negative," said Locks, reviewing more data. "The readings indicate the dominant species evolved on this planet. They are native to these conditions." The implications stunned the crew. A species that evolved on a Class 13 death world would possess incredible resilience, strength, and adaptability by galactic standards. "Council protocol is clear," Trell said finally. "We must report this discovery immediately." 3 cycles later, the Galactic Classification Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 17 spacefaring species had gathered for an emergency session. "The evidence is conclusive," announced High Counselor Mez, his voice amplified throughout the Grand Hall. "Planet Earth harbors an intelligent species that has achieved industrial and early space technology. They call themselves humans." A murmur spread through the assembly. "These humans," continued Mez, "have not merely survived but flourished in conditions we consider lethal. They drink water containing dissolved minerals. They consume plants grown in soil teeming with microorganisms. They breathe oxygen at concentrations that would poison most of us. They routinely endure radiation from their sun that would kill a Xerillian in minutes." "Are they hostile?" asked a representative from the cautious Novarian collective. "Unknown," replied Captain Trell, now addressing the council. "Our observation satellites show contradictory behavior. They wage war against each other over resources and ideologies, yet also demonstrate remarkable cooperation and compassion. They create art, music, and literature. They explore their own world despite its dangers." High Counselor Mez raised his upper limbs for silence. "The question before us is clear. Do we establish contact or quarantine this world?" The debate raged for hours. Some argued that any species evolved in such harsh conditions must be naturally aggressive and dangerous. Others pointed out the scientific and cultural benefits of contacting a species with such unique perspectives. In the end, curiosity prevailed over caution. "Captain Trell," said the High Counselor, "your team is authorized to make first contact. Proceed with extreme caution. Remember that these humans may possess physical capabilities far beyond our own. What they consider normal may be deadly to your crew." Trell bowed respectfully. "We will prepare specialized environmental suits and approach with care." As the council adjourned, Trell reviewed the human broadcasts intercepted by their satellites. On screen, a human family laughed as they played in the snow, completely unprotected from the freezing temperatures. Another showed humans deliberately submerging themselves in large bodies of water for recreation. A third displayed humans consuming plants and animals that contained compounds toxic to most galactic species. "Remarkable," Trell whispered. They don't just survive there. They call it home. 6 months after first contact, Captain Trell stood before the Earth Diplomatic Council in a specially designed environmental chamber. Even with the most advanced life support technology, being on Earth felt like slow poison to her system. "We appreciate your hospitality," she said through her translator. "My team has learned much about your remarkable species." The human delegate smiled, still fascinated by their first alien visitors. They had taken the news of galactic civilization with surprising calm. "We propose an exchange of knowledge and culture," said the human representative, a man named Tom. "Our scientists are eager to learn about your technology, and we have much to offer in return." Trell's environmental suit registered another alarming spike in oxygen levels. How did humans breathe this corrosive mix continuously? "What exactly do you suggest?" she asked. "An exchange program," Tom replied. "A team of your people stays here to study Earth, while a team of humans visits your worlds." The other aliens in Trell's delegation shifted uncomfortably. The idea of humans visiting their carefully controlled, safe environments caused concern. "I volunteer to lead the Earth study team," announced Commander Vix, stepping forward. The stocky alien was known for his adventurous spirit. "Are you certain?" Trell asked privately through their communication link. "The medical team advises against prolonged exposure, even with protective measures." "Someone must do it," Vix replied. "And I've reviewed the data. The southern island they call New Zealand has relatively mild conditions." 2 weeks later, Vix and his team of 8 scientists arrived at their research station in New Zealand. The humans had built it to alien specifications, with filtered air and reduced gravity in certain sections. Their human liaison officer, a man named Jack, greeted them warmly. "Welcome to Earth. We've set up everything according to your guidelines. How was your trip down?" "Terrifying," admitted Ren, the team biologist. "Your atmosphere burned our shuttle's outer shielding more than expected." Jack laughed. "Just a little re-entry heat. Nothing to worry about." The aliens exchanged glances. What these humans considered nothing to worry about continued to astonish them. "I'll show you around," Jack continued. "We've arranged some field trips so you can experience different Earth environments. All with proper safety measures, of course." "Field trips?" asked Vix, his translator struggling with the term. "Yes. Forests, mountains, beaches. Don't worry, we'll start with the easy stuff." The alien scientists spent their first Earth day inside the station, adjusting to the higher gravity that made their bodies feel twice as heavy as normal. Through reinforced windows, they watched rain fall from dark clouds. "Water, just falling from the sky," whispered Ren, recording the phenomenon. "And look, the humans let it touch their skin." Outside, Jack walked across the grass with no protective gear except a thin water-resistant jacket. He looked up at the rain and smiled. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the human delegation led by Lisa arrived on Nebulon, the capital world of the Galactic Council. The aliens had prepared a special high-gravity, oxygen-rich habitat for them, assuming they would need conditions similar to Earth to survive. "You can remove your protective suits now," said Counselor Mez as the airlock doors closed behind them. "We've recreated your natural environment." The humans looked at each other and shrugged. Lisa stepped forward and released her helmet seal. "Oh, this is lovely," she said, taking a deep breath. "Much cleaner than Earth air. And the gravity is so light. It feels like we're almost floating." The alien officials stared in confusion. Their instruments indicated the habitat was set to Earth standard gravity and atmospheric composition. "You find this comfortable?" asked Mez. "Very," said another human named Paul, now removing his suit completely. "On Earth, I live in Mexico City. The air there is much more polluted than this, and the gravity here feels like being in a swimming pool. It's wonderful." The aliens' monitoring devices began recording every move the humans made. These creatures could apparently adapt to conditions far outside their home parameters, something unheard of among other species. I believe, Mez said slowly, that we have greatly underestimated human adaptability. Lisa smiled. We're looking forward to seeing more of your worlds. When can we start? The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They had planned a carefully controlled tour of their safest environments. Now they wondered if it would bore their visitors. Soon, promised Mez. Very soon. 1 week into their stay on Earth, Commander Vix and his team were already struggling. Despite their advanced environmental suits and the controlled conditions of their research station, Earth's natural forces took a toll on their bodies. Status report, Vix said, his voice weaker than usual as the team gathered in the main lab. Ren, the biologist, displayed her medical readings on the main screen. Our muscle density has decreased by 7% due to Earth's gravity. Our immune systems are working overtime against airborne particles, and sleep cycles are disrupted by the loud wildlife outside. Loud wildlife? Asked Vix. The creatures called birds, clarified Tal, the xenozoologist. They make noise constantly at dawn, and there are small animals everywhere, carrying millions of microorganisms. Their discussion was interrupted as Jack entered the lab, bringing a blast of unfiltered air with him. The aliens flinched. Good morning, Jack said cheerfully. Beautiful day outside. Perfect for our hiking trip. The alien scientists exchanged nervous glances. Hiking trip? Vix asked cautiously. Yes. Remember, we're going to explore the native forest today. Don't worry, it's an easy trail, only about 5 miles round trip with a small elevation gain. 5 miles in Earth gravity felt like 20 to the aliens, but they had come to study, and study they would. 2 hours later, the team trudged slowly along a dirt path. Each wore a fully sealed environmental suit with enhanced support systems for the gravity. Jack walked alongside them wearing only light clothing, boots, and a small backpack. Isn't this amazing? Jack said, pointing to the dense vegetation. This forest has trees over 800 years old. The aliens observed in silent wonder. On their worlds, plant life was carefully controlled and limited. Here, it grew wild in endless variety. What are those dark clouds? Asked Tal, pointing to the horizon. Jack glanced up. Just a small storm coming in. Should pass quickly. Storm? Vix asked, alarm rising in his voice. We should return immediately. Jack looked surprised. It's just a little rain. We have plenty of time to reach the viewpoint before. A loud crack split the air, making the aliens crouch in terror. What was that? Gasped Ren. Just thunder, Jack said, now looking concerned at their reaction. Are you all okay? Before they could answer, rain began to fall. First a few drops, then a sudden downpour. The path quickly turned to mud. This way, Jack called, pointing to a rocky overhang nearby. We can wait it out there. The aliens struggled through the increasingly slippery ground. Tal lost his footing and fell hard, cracking the section of his suit. Vix rushed to help but slipped as well, landing awkwardly and damaging his suit's mobility system. I'm stuck, Vix said, panic rising as rain pounded his suit. The environmental controls began flashing warnings. Jack assessed the situation quickly. The station is 2 miles back. The cave is closer. Without hesitation, he lifted Tal to his feet, then bent down and hoisted Vix onto his shoulders. What are you doing? Vix asked, shocked. Carrying you to safety, Jack replied simply, already moving forward through the storm. For the next hour, Jack carried Vix through rain and mud, guiding the rest of the team to the cave. Lightning flashed around them, and the temperature dropped rapidly, conditions that Jack seemed barely to notice, but that the alien systems classified as increasingly dangerous. In the shelter of the cave, the aliens huddled together, running emergency repairs on their suits. Outside, Jack calmly set up a small heater and communication device. Help will arrive soon, he assured them. I've called for a transport. Vix stared at the human through his faceplate. You carried me 2 miles in Earth gravity through dangerous weather. How is that possible? Jack shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. You needed help. On our worlds, Ren said quietly, these conditions would trigger a major emergency response. Yet you treat it as routine. Because it is, Jack replied, offering them some water. This isn't even bad weather by Earth standards. As they waited for rescue, the aliens watched Jack in silent amazement. They had come to study humans as scientific curiosities, but were beginning to understand something more profound. The very conditions that their species considered lethal had forged humans into something extraordinary. I think, Vix said slowly, we have greatly underestimated what it means to evolve on a Class 13 world. While Vix and his team struggled with Earth's harsh conditions, the human delegation led by Lisa was causing a different kind of stir across the galaxy. On Nebulon, the capital world of the Galactic Council, High Counselor Mez watched with growing concern as Lisa and her team adapted to alien environments with surprising ease. It defies all biological models, said the chief xenobiologist, displaying data on a large screen. The humans have been here for only 2 weeks, yet they move around in our standard atmosphere without any signs of distress. Med studied the footage. The 5 human delegates walked through the grand gardens of Nebulon, admiring the carefully cultivated flora. They wore only thin monitoring devices, rather than the expected environmental suits. They requested higher gravity in their quarters, added another scientist. They said our normal settings make it hard to sleep because they feel too light. What about their dietary requirements? Mez asked. That's another surprise. They can eat almost anything with proper preparation. Their digestive systems adapt quickly. One of them, Paul, consumed a venereal fruit that should have been toxic to any carbon-based life form. He reported only a mild tingling sensation and asked for more. Mez's skin rippled with concern. Are they a threat? Not intentionally, I believe, the scientist replied. But their capabilities are unsettling. Later that day, Lisa and her team visited the Advanced Research Laboratory, where scientists from across the galaxy studied extreme environments. This chamber simulates the conditions on Pyrox, a volcanic moon, explained Dr. Zen, their guide. No sentient species can survive there, but we study it remotely. Paul pressed his face against the observation window. What's the temperature in there? Approximately 150 of your Celsius degrees, Dr. Zen replied. Fatal to all known life forms within minutes. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. On Earth, we have places called saunas where people sit in rooms heated to around 90 degrees Celsius for relaxation. The alien scientist stared at her in disbelief. You expose yourselves to lethal temperatures for relaxation? Dr. Zen asked. It's not lethal to us, Lisa explained. Uncomfortable after a while. Yes, but not dangerous unless you stay too long. The tour continued to a radiation testing facility. As they approached, alarms suddenly blared. Emergency, shouted a technician. Containment breach in Lab 7. Radiation levels rising. The aliens immediately moved away, but Lisa stepped forward. Can we help? Impossible, Dr. Zen said, pulling her back. The radiation would kill you instantly. What type of radiation? Asked Tom, another member of the human team. When told the details, the humans exchanged glances. That level wouldn't be immediately fatal to us, Tom said. We could help seal the breach if you guide us. Absolutely not, Dr. Zen protested. Our safety protocols. But Lisa had already moved toward the emergency suits. How many people are trapped inside? 3 researchers, but you don't understand. We do, Lisa said firmly. On Earth, we work with radiation regularly. Some humans even survived atomic bomb exposure. We can handle this level for short periods. Before the aliens could stop them, Tom and Lisa had donned basic protection suits and entered the contaminated area. Through monitoring cameras, The stunned aliens watched as the humans quickly located and sealed the breach, then carried the unconscious researchers to safety. In the medical bay afterward, the aliens ran extensive tests on the humans. "Impossible," muttered the medical officer. "They absorbed radiation that would kill most species, yet their cells are already repairing the damage. We'll feel sick for a few days," Lisa admitted, "but we'll recover fully." News of the incident spread quickly through the Galactic Council. Video of humans walking through radiation to save alien lives was viewed by billions. "They are not simply tough," Mez told the Emergency Council session. "They evolved on a world that would kill most of us instantly. What they consider normal, we consider extremes of endurance." A representative from the military coalition spoke up. "Could they be useful allies? Or potential threats?" "Both," Mez replied gravely. "They appear peaceful, but we must remember, what doesn't kill them makes them stronger. And almost nothing on their world has killed them." 3 months after the exchange program began, both humans and aliens had learned much from each other. Trade agreements were being discussed, cultural exchanges had begun, and scientific cooperation was flourishing. Then disaster struck. Captain Trell was in the middle of a diplomatic meeting on Earth when an urgent message arrived from the Galactic Council. "Emergency Priority 1. Announced the holographic image of Counselor Mez. Colony Novus 7 has experienced a catastrophic climate shift. Requesting immediate assistance." The human officials looked concerned. "What's happened?" asked Tom. Trell's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as she processed the incoming data. Novus 7 is an outer colony with about 30,000 civilians. Something has triggered an environmental cascade. The planet is rapidly cooling while atmospheric toxins are being released from underground deposits. "How bad is it?" Lisa asked, having just returned from her mission to Nebulon. "Terminal for the colonists," Trell said grimly. "They have 3 days of air filtration at most. Temperatures are dropping 20 degrees per day." "Can't you evacuate them?" Jack asked. "Our closest rescue fleet is 8 days away," Trell replied. "And even if they could reach Novus 7 in time, no one could survive the surface conditions long enough to reach the colonists. They're in sealed underground habitats with failing life support." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. 30,000 people would die. "What are the exact conditions on the surface?" Lisa asked suddenly. Trell displayed the data. Temperatures falling to -50 degrees Celsius. Toxic gas concentrations rising. Increasing radiation from the planet's destabilized magnetic field. The humans studied the information, then looked at each other. "We could survive that," Jack said finally. Trell stared at him. "Impossible. Those conditions are lethal to all known species." "Not to us," Lisa replied. "It would be uncomfortable and dangerous, yes. But humans have worked in similar conditions on Earth and in space." Tom nodded. "Antarctic research stations regularly deal with those temperatures, and our deep-sea divers work in heavy protective gear under extreme pressure. The radiation is higher than Earth normal," Jack admitted, "but within what humans can tolerate for short missions with proper protection." The aliens looked stunned as they realized what the humans were suggesting. "You would volunteer to go?" Trell asked. "Of course," Lisa said simply. "We can't let those people die." 2 days later, the first human rescue team arrived at Novus 7. Earth had mobilized with incredible speed, sending 3 transport ships filled with emergency specialists, Arctic rescue teams, hazardous material experts, and military special forces. From orbit, the situation looked even worse than reported. The once green planet was now covered in ice storms, with visible toxic gas clouds swirling in the atmosphere. In the command ship, Jack and Lisa prepared with their team. They wore modified Earth deep-sea diving suits, reinforced for the extreme cold and equipped with enhanced filtration. The colonists are in 4 main habitats. Jack briefed the team, pointing to a map. "Each team will take 1 habitat. Get in, stabilize the life support, and begin evacuation." "What about the locals?" asked one of the rescue specialists. Will they be able to move in these conditions? No, Lisa said. We'll have to carry them to the transports. Their physiology can't handle the cold or toxins at all. Watching from the safety of their ship, Commander Vix and Captain Trell observed the humans with a mixture of hope and disbelief. They're actually going down there, Vix said quietly, into conditions that our best environmental suits can't handle. Trell's eyes focused on the monitor as the first human team entered the planet's atmosphere. They evolved on a Class 13 death world, she reminded him. What looks impossible to us is just another Tuesday for them. On the surface, storm winds of 200 kilometers per hour buffeted the human landing craft. Ice formed instantly on external cameras. Sensors detected levels of toxins that would kill most species in seconds. The landing craft doors opened, and humans stepped out onto the frozen hellscape. Ground Team 1 to command. Jack's voice came through clearly despite the howling storm. We're on the surface, beginning rescue operations now. Thousands of aliens across the galaxy watched the live feeds in stunned silence as humans walked into conditions that defied survival. For the first time, the full implications of a Class 13 species became clear to the galactic community. The surface of Novus 7 had become a frozen nightmare. Ice storms tore across the landscape while toxic gases swirled in ominous green clouds. No alien species could survive here now without the most advanced life support systems, and even those would fail within minutes. Yet the humans moved through this hellscape with determined efficiency. Jack led Team Alpha toward the largest colony habitat, his boots crunching through ice that formed instantly around each step. The temperature read -58 degrees Celsius on his suit display. Status check, he called through the comm system. Team Bravo in position, reported Lisa from 2 kilometers east. Teams Charlie and Delta on approach, came the other responses. Inside their orbiting ship, Captain Trell and Commander Vix watched through the humans' helmet cameras. Other aliens huddled around screens throughout the ship, witnessing what they had believed impossible. The toxic gas concentration just increased by 30%, said a science officer. That would melt our respiratory systems instantly. Their suits are holding, Vix noted. But how will they get the colonists out? Even if they reach them, the colonists can't survive the journey back. Jack's team reached the main airlock of Habitat 1. Ice had sealed it shut, and the power systems were failing. Manual override inoperable, reported one of his team members. We need to cut through. Without hesitation, Jack pulled out a plasma torch and began cutting through the thick metal door. Sparks flew as he worked, the extreme cold making the metal brittle. 10 minutes of oxygen left in the habitat, warned another team member, checking readings on a portable scanner. Jack nodded grimly and cut faster. Inside Habitat 1, the alien colonists had gathered in the central chamber. Life support was failing, temperatures were dropping, and hope was fading. Many had already written final messages to distant loved ones. A loud grinding noise from the main airlock made them look up in surprise. The massive door, frozen shut for days, was being cut open from the outside. Impossible, whispered the colony leader. No one could survive out there. With a final screech of metal, the door fell inward. Strange figures in bulky suits entered, walking upright despite the extreme conditions. We're Earth's emergency response team, Jack announced through an external speaker. We're here to get you out. The colonists stared in disbelief as more humans entered, carrying equipment and emergency supplies. How are you alive out there? Asked the colony leader. We're used to tough conditions, Jack replied simply. Now let's get your people ready to move. We've brought special transport pods for you. The humans worked quickly, setting up portable environmental chambers designed to keep the aliens alive during transport. Each pod could hold 5 colonists in a protective atmosphere. What about the children and elders? Asked a concerned colonist. They cannot move quickly enough. We'll carry them, Jack said, as if it were the most natural solution in the world. Outside, the storm was intensifying. Radiation levels climbed higher as the planet's magnetic field continued to deteriorate. All teams, accelerate evacuation, Lisa ordered over the comm. Radiation spiking to dangerous levels. Dangerous for who? One of the human rescuers replied with a grim laugh. Remember the Chernobyl cleanup crews? We can handle worse than this for a few hours. In orbit, the alien observers were stunned by what they were witnessing. Humans working in conditions that their most advanced computer models classified as unsurvivable, carrying alien children through toxic storms, repairing critical systems with bare hands in temperatures that would freeze most species solid. They're not just surviving, Vix said quietly. They're thriving on the challenge. Captain Trell nodded slowly. On their world, adversity is normal. They've been trained by evolution to face the impossible and overcome it. By the 8th hour, Lisa's team had evacuated all colonists from Habitat 2. Jack's team was nearly finished with Habitat 1, with teams Charlie and Delta reporting similar progress. Final pods loaded, Jack reported as the last group of colonists was secured, returning to transport now. As he turned to leave, a massive tremor shook the habitat. Part of the ceiling collapsed, crushing one of the human rescuers beneath debris. Without hesitation, Jack ran back and lifted the massive beam off his fallen comrade. The aliens watching from orbit gasped as their sensors registered the weight, over 300 kilograms, and the fact that Jack's suit had been damaged, exposing him partially to the toxic atmosphere. I've got you, Jack said, lifting his injured teammate. No one gets left behind. As he carried both his teammate and the last alien child through the worsening storm, a new kind of respect spread throughout the watching galaxy. These humans weren't just tough. They possessed a spirit that matched their physical resilience. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every known spacefaring species had gathered for what many were calling the most important meeting in a century. The rescue of Novus 7 had changed everything. High Counselor Mez stood on the central platform, facing the assembly. Behind him were large screens showing footage from the rescue operation. Humans walking through toxic storms, carrying alien children to safety, repairing equipment in lethal cold with their bare hands when their tools failed. For 12,000 cycles, Mez began, we have classified worlds by their habitability. Class 1 represents paradise, perfect conditions for life. Class 13 represents hell, conditions so extreme that evolution itself seems impossible. The hall was silent as images of Earth appeared on the screens. Hurricanes, volcanoes, blizzards, deserts. We classified Earth as Class 13, and we were correct in our assessment. What we failed to understand was what it means to evolve on such a world. Captain Trell stepped forward to join Mez on the platform. The humans call it adaptation, she explained. Their entire evolutionary history is a story of overcoming impossible odds. They view difficulty not as something to avoid, but as something to conquer. From the front row, Jack and Lisa watched calmly, still recovering from their mission to Novus 7. Most of the human team had suffered minor radiation sickness and cold injuries, but all had survived. Along with every single colonist they had been sent to rescue. The military coalition has expressed concern, said a representative from a warrior species. A race evolved in such harsh conditions could pose a threat if their intentions turn hostile. Jack stood up. We have no interest in conquest. On Earth, we've learned that cooperation is more powerful than conflict. That's why we volunteered for the rescue mission. Not to show strength, but to offer help. Lisa nodded. Our history is full of both war and peace, but our harshest enemy has always been our own planet. We fight against nature daily just by existing. Why would we want to fight you too? The assembly considered this, murmuring among themselves. Counselor Mez raised his hands for silence. After reviewing all evidence, the classification committee proposes a new category, Death World Cradle. Earth will be the first world so designated, a planet that creates species of extraordinary resilience through extraordinary challenges. Commander Vic stepped forward next. I have lived among humans on Earth. I have seen them drink water containing minerals that would poison most of us. I've watched them sleep through storms that our ships wouldn't dare fly through. I've seen them eat plants containing compounds that would kill any of us instantly. He paused, looking at Jack and Lisa. And yet, they are not monsters. They are kind, curious, and surprisingly gentle for creatures of such strength. They have turned the harshness of their world into compassion rather than cruelty. The Council voted unanimously to establish formal alliance with Earth. Humans would take the lead in hazardous operations throughout the galaxy, exploring extreme environments, conducting emergency rescues, and handling dangerous materials. 1 month later, Captain Trell and Commander Vix sat in a small cafe in New Zealand. Across from them were Jack and Lisa, who had become their friends despite their different biologies. Trell sipped carefully from a special container holding nutrients safe for her species. She watched with amazement as Jack casually drank hot coffee, a liquid that would scald most alien life forms. "Still can't believe you drink that for pleasure," Vix said, his environmental suit now much slimmer and more comfortable after human engineers had helped redesign it. "Want to try some?" Jack offered with a smile. "Absolutely not," Vix replied quickly, making everyone laugh. "I've analyzed it. The caffeine alone would stop my heart." Lisa grinned. "Your scientists are still trying to figure out how we process so many toxins, aren't they?" "The list of substances humans can safely consume is disturbing," Trell admitted. "Caffeine, alcohol, capsaicin, theobromine." "You mean coffee, beer, hot peppers, and chocolate," Jack translated. "The essentials of life." They all looked out the window at the rain falling on green hills. To the aliens, even this peaceful countryside was filled with potential dangers: microorganisms in the soil, oxygen levels that would poison their systems, gravity that strained their bodies. "You know what amazes me most," Vix said finally. "Not that you survive here, but that you love it. That you look at this dangerous world and call it beautiful." Jack nodded, watching raindrops on the window. "Because it is beautiful. The very forces that made Earth harsh also made it vibrant. The storms that threatened us also nourished us. The challenges that could have destroyed us instead defined us." "Home sweet home," Lisa added, raising her coffee cup in a toast, "even if it is technically a death world." The aliens raised their containers as well, finally understanding that humans hadn't just survived their harsh world. They had embraced it. And that made all the difference.